All right, guys, welcome back to Community Talks. Of course, we had a short hiatus, and now we're back. Of course, George and I back on the game. Episode 11. We've got two faces that you guys will know. Of course, Daryl and Denza from Brash Esports. Very special guests. They're coming back from their top 20 placement at CWL Anaheim. Congratulations to you guys on that. A brilliant performance from you guys. So we'll jump straight in. Of course, this week we're going to be focusing on that CWL Anaheim major. So you guys, you were at the event. We'll kick it off simple. What was your guys' experience with that event? How did you feel about it? Because obviously, okay, no, hang on one second. Sorry,
that's just I just
heard you twice. Yeah, I just heard you twice. So again, we'll kick it off simple. So how did you guys experience in that event? How did you feel about it? Because obviously, coming off a top 20 placement like that, it's going to be buzzing for you guys, especially. Dario, I believe that's your best placement at an international major
so
ever.
Far, yeah.
And I think Denza, your second best because you placed top 16 at CWL Paris last year.
Last year.
Yeah. So how was that for you guys? Because obviously that must have been a buzzing, I guess, achievement.
Well, do you want me to start off?
Yeah, sure.
Well, first and foremost, MLG do the best events period. Shout out to MLG. The events are always well structured, always on time. They've got the best equipment. Throwing shade at CWL Birmingham. Ben Qs are an absolute godsend, by the way. If you don't play with Overscan, you really need to. But the event itself, we came in really confident. I come in confident for every event. But this event with these, when we picked up these two, I felt like we could perform a lot better than top 40. Previous events, even though I'm confident in my own personal ability, it felt like previous events we would struggle to get top 80. We'd struggle to, as bad as that sounds, we'll struggle to get top 64. But coming into this event, I was confident. Playing felt like we were all on the same page. It felt like the team chemistry was there. It felt like we weren't making much mistakes. Bar the E6 series, that's a whole different topic on its own. But I'm glad with how we performed. We know what we need to do to get a better result next time, and we're just confident for the LCQs.
All right,
that's it.
Mm-hmm. Denza,
it's the same thing really for me. It's just probably the best event I've attended in general. Like the days before the event, the days after the event. With our organization, they took care of us really well as well, and I was really enjoying my time there. And I was expecting a really good placement, but we did better than I expected, to be honest, because we weren't doing good online, but the way we were playing online was just kind of going to work out long, so it did actually work. So I'm really happy in general.
I want to really quickly say as well, a massive shout out to Brash Esports. Probably, they are the best esports org I've ever been under. They sent us out to the Hollywood Hills beforehand. The support during MLG Anaheim was absolutely amazing. It was unreal. So a huge thank you for Brash for sticking with us throughout the events. I'm really glad we can get a solid performance and placement under Brash. Hopefully we can have many more.
Sounds good then.
Yeah.
I'd like to, just quickly, I'd like to touch on the first thing before we go into the results of the event and how you guys played. The first thing that you guys said there was, at least Daryl, you said about the event being comparably much better than any event you've ever attended, especially contrasting with European events. So just want to get some insight on that. What is it that MLG do in the States that is just so much better than anything they can put on over here? What is it that you think makes them just a better event management? The timekeeping's better, or is it the utility, the items they use and all that business?
Yeah, it's all right. Let me get this straight. The EU fans compared to the American fans, they are so much better. It feels like at an American event, if I'm chanting for anyone other than Optic, it feels like the bloke behind me has an M16 and he's going to fucking shoot me in the air, right? I get dirty looks. I'm supporting Splice and Red Reserve. I'm getting people that tell me to shut the fuck up. I'm like, right, okay. But yeah, EU events are better for that. But for MLG events, standardized equipment. The equipments do not change. So we know what monitors we're going to be using every event. The Chronuses, stuff like that helps. You might not realize, but as a player, if we have a particular setting at an event, and then we have monitors where we can't use that. For example, I mentioned earlier with the overscan. I had no overscan at Birmingham, and it's like I'm playing a different game. So that helps. The scheduling, everything is usually on time. Everything is laid out on time. The refs are competent. I'm gonna say out there, Birmingham, the admins had no freaking clue what they were doing. It was absolutely embarrassing. They had no idea what the game was. They had no idea how hosting worked. So MLG had it felt like a lot of experienced, competent admins. The whole vibe at MLG events is just so much better. It actually feels like an actual gaming event. It feels like it feels like they don't have to set up a gaming event, or the stations are well set up. It's just a combination really of all them factors.
Yeah, and I would add onto that as well. I wanted to ask, do you ever feel that actually European events will ever actually get to that level? Or do you think now that the fact that 5 of our 6 majors this year are set in America, it's actually more of a good thing and it is likely to stay that way and you would want it to stay that way?
It's kind of a difficult one. As a European, I want more events in Europe. The fact that it's more American based is not ideal for European and APAC teams. However, the way they run it, if they can somehow teach or implement that in the EU for European events, yes, of course, I'd love more European events.
Yeah, I think that's right as well. I think that the amount of discussions we've had about European events here on Esports Universe and the lack of them, it's been so extensive.
It's a different story within itself, isn't it? The lack of European events, and then when you have a similar, like, poor quality. I mean, what you get is you get all these American pros coming over, and their first impressions of their first European event, for example, would be, oh, it's garbage. We're playing on trash monitors with trash Cronuses. The scheduling's awful, and the admins are just crap. So it kind of gives the issue of the fact that we might not have another European event simply based off of the management and running of Birmingham. Yeah. And in the end, Birmingham was really fun. The crowd was awesome on the Sunday. I was there for most of it. And I really enjoyed myself. Obviously, I wasn't playing, so maybe it's a bit different as a spectator towards a player, but I didn't really get too much insight of that. When I spoke to people, they said it felt like a bit of a different event to some of the players who played internationally before. So I kind of get that vibe. I kind of get that. I understand that.
It felt like, compared to an MLG event, it felt like an absolute joke. It felt like nobody really cared. It was just there for the sake of being there.
Just it's been there before. Might as well have it there again, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like you need a European Open, and that's where I63 is a trusted venue.
Yeah.
Or I62 as it was. It
was at the time. It was
62. Yeah.
I found that the surrounding event at times was often better run than the CWL thing, which had its own. It's like, compared to when I went to CWL Birmingham at I60 as well, and in comparison to I60 to I62, a lot had changed.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
It was way better.
It was way better, but even then, it was still not up to a standard, which was. I mean, you could see the improvement. I don't know how long it's going to take until we get onto a level where we're much better than, or at least like where we're on par with the States in terms of event management. But I mean, for me, 62 was a step up from 60. But it still wasn't good enough. I mean, like, we didn't have any practice stations. Like, you couldn't practice on any of the stations or anything, could you, either? And there was no warm-up time or anything like that. It was like 5 minutes in a bot lobby or something like that, and then just go. It was awful. And then people like kept pushing out to 15, 20 minutes, and admins didn't do anything about it because the scheduling was just all off at that point. It was a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Anyway, Brody, move us on.
Yeah, so obviously that's your guys' experience with MLG Anaheim, and you guys are pretty happy with your placement. So we'll move on to CWL Champs, because obviously that's your next big target. You guys, you have the points, I'm pretty sure, to make your way to the LCQ. I'm not exactly sure how high your seeding will be, but given how high your seeding was in the open bracket, I have no doubt that it will be a pretty high seed. So how are you guys feeling, obviously, about that? Champs, LCQ, your chances to actually qualify for Champs, because I think both of you did qualify for Champs last year, at least I know Deriv did.
Yeah, I played Black Ops 3, played IW one. But yeah, I think we can definitely qualify. There's 16 spots and it's a 32 team bracket, so we have to win 2 games. And if we play like we did at Anaheim, which we'll probably play better than we did there, so I don't doubt we'll qualify, to be honest.
I agree with Dens. If we played like we did at Anaheim, or if we even played worse than Anaheim, then I still think we should qualify. Touch wood, I don't want any bad juju or anything like that, but I am really confident going into Champs.
I mean, you guys have got a painstaking close as well to the CWL Pro League at different points. I think you guys came second.
Don't even talk to me about that.
Second in the relegation.
Last year as well.
It is quite painstaking for you guys, especially when I would at least consider you one of those top European teams outside of the Pro League. who are just below now. So for you guys there, you guys can seriously do some damage if you do actually qualify through that LCQ. But I think that actually comes to a wider point about how you guys feel the European teams are doing at the moment and how much of an effect the Global Pro League has had on that. Because obviously at Anaheim, we saw 4 of the top 8 European teams being international teams, 2 of which are European. Yeah, 2 APAC and 2 European, which was a shock in itself. But for you guys,
where have tainted minds been?
I guess a statement to make would be that actually the teams inside the Global Pro League have improved massively because of the competition they're facing. However, the teams outside of it have been massively affected by the fact that they're not getting that competition anymore.
Yeah, right. Well, it used to be NA, EU, Australia. NA would be a bit better than EU. EU would be like miles better than Australia. And then in recent years, EU was catching up. We had your Splice last year. You did Red Reserves. But now this year, all of that. There's none of that. It's Global Pro League teams, North American top amateurs, European top amateurs, and then Aussie top amateurs. The Global Pro League teams, they are so far ahead, so far ahead from the rest of us because they can practice on LAN. They can practice against each other all the time. And then the NA is significantly ahead of Europe in my opinion, because they get to also practice against these Global Pro League teams. You've got your Ghost Gamers, your Lightning Thunders, your E6s, do well in the Global Pro League Challenge, which is another way they can practice against pro teams. And below, right below, we have Europeans and Aussies. Europe and Aussies have been left in like a complete and utter state. We have no pro teams to play against. Our practice is horrible. We don't even practice properly against each other when we do play. We care more about personally ripping each other rather than actually improving. That's like a whole separate topic of how shit the European mentality is. And then I feel so bad for the Aussies. Aussies can't even fill a 2K or a National League.
Yeah.
So you're laughing and you're fine if you're in the Global Pro League, or if you're not, then it's just a really big struggle.
No, I do feel like that is a problem. It's something we've discussed on here before, actually. That the underdevelopment of European and Australian talent, or at least any form of talent that is not American. That it's just we don't have a structure or a system here which allows for us to have the opportunity to play against better players. And when that opportunity comes around, like you say, the mentality is like, oh, why am I having to play against a pro and all this business all the time? And it's just utter garbage. And I don't understand the mentality of European COD players, because even if you look internationally towards mainland Europe, I still see a similar problem. And when you think about it from a different perspective of like a different esport, like League of Legends or Counter-Strike, you see these European amateurs go against a European pro, and they are like going hard. This is their shot. They see it as their opportunity, you know. And whereas I feel with Call of Duty, we just see it as like a painful, tedious task that we must have to go against a pro and just inevitably get railed. It's just, I don't know, that's just how I perceive it. Obviously, I haven't played in a long time and been in a position of authority to comment on that, but...
I mean, I can understand why your Red Reserves and your Splices don't want to play a team not in the GPL, but when, for example, we have another team in the national leagues where you're trying to practice and you're trying to improve, and you can't really do that because people have like really bad egos and really bad mentality. Like people are complaining more about connection, LAN, like, you know, handing out insults via DMs, and it's like, shut up, just play and practice and learn it. Everyone knows it's online. You take a map of a team online. They bring up LAN placements. You kill someone, you bullshit someone online, and it's just you're bringing out the whole COD wiki page. And that's one, in my opinion. I believe this is one of the factors which are sort of not helping Europe like develop as a develop as a region. Practice schedules and practice mentalities are terrible.
It's actually depressing on our practice. Like we played the same, like before Anaheim, we played the same 3 French teams every single day. I was getting pissed off every day because you have to play the same team every day. It's really boring. And then you have Red Reserve and Splice playing Heretics and AA, who then placed under us this event. So that's just, I hope they start playing us now, because it's actually, you're not learning anything. You're just coming on to shoot your gun and that's it.
Yeah, I guess once you play the same team like days and days in a row, there's only so much you can take from that, isn't there?
So boring.
You're just learning to beat that same team, and once you've done it, that's it, isn't it? Really. I guess a separate question altogether then. So you guys note that difference in global pro league teams to those outside of it in terms of the skill level and the practice you guys get. What I want to ask, actually, a little bit separately, off topic in some way, is how you guys feel about how skilled or the practice you guys got against the teams you played when you played Foul Season 2. Because obviously you had that playoffs where you placed second. I wanted to see, or at least ask, how you felt about how good the teams you played there were, because obviously you guys lost to Cryptic Gaming in the grand final.
It's just online COD though, isn't it?
Yeah, which is online COD, fair enough. But I just wanted to ask whether or not you felt that there were actually good teams in there that you guys could see potential in.
Yeah, I personally believe there are good teams. That Cryptic team are all individually good players, but you also have to mention again, it's not LAN. LAN is when you don't play like that sort of style online compared to LAN, it just does not work. But not trying to take anything away from them teams involved in the VAL League. There are some really good players and really good teamwork. But yeah, you can't take too much out of online. We had our 2K double 2K winners get absolutely railed by the team that we destroyed. So it's anything can happen, I guess.
No, yeah. I do understand that, and that's the difficulty with it, I suppose. And I think that kind of what you say there is they play a very different style of game is kind of representative of the same point that you made earlier, with the fact that obviously there's a big gap between Europe and America, and obviously Europe with the gap even between 18 plus play and then pro play. So I feel like even going down, when you take it down a notch towards teams in the VAL, there's a very different style of play. It's kind of very one-man army-esque. You play your own role, not very team-based. And then you get some teams with a little bit more team play, and they tend to do a little bit better. And then they come up against teams like yourselves, and there's obviously the mismatch in the styles, which can throw you off a little bit. So I understand that one completely, and I do think that there is obviously a big disparity in how teams play.
Like on my Cryptic roster, that Gizmo kid, like, he is talented. Like, they're all talented. It's just they rely on solo plays a lot. I'm not trying to say like we're like the epitome of teamwork or anything like that. But when you play against these GPL teams, you can actually see how they use teamwork and how they implement teamwork. And you play against Cryptic, and it's just all individual talented players just running at you, winning gunfights. So that can only win you so many games, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose you're right now. Brody? You want to move us on if we've got nothing further to say on that one? Because I'm pretty out on that topic.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it for that topic at the very least. So moving on, we'll talk about a general MLG Anaheim outlook, because obviously for you guys, we spoke about the fact that international teams had an amazing showing at that event. I just wanted to know your opinion. It's a very short question, I guess, about who the best team in the game is at the moment, because obviously Rise won the event. Red Reserve, though, came extremely close, if not one map away from potentially taking the whole thing. So, do you guys think the Red Reserve will come out and be the best team by the end of the game, potentially CWL champs, or do you think Rise will stay on top?
We got a European saviour.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think Red's gonna actually win champs, to be honest, because you can literally tell they really want to win, and I don't know. I really think they're gonna win champs at this moment. I don't know. Really think so.
I think even though Rise won, I still think Red could be the best team in the game. I think they will be, and I think they'll win champs.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I think you have to mention as well was the fact that that map where they drew, they would have pushed right.
They should have won this event.
Yeah, exactly. They were. That's why I said they were one map away from winning the whole event. You know, they wouldn't have had to fight through losers bracket. So for them, it's got to be absolutely heartbreaking. So. Red Reserve to win. George, what's your opinion on that one?
I do agree. From what I saw of Red over the course of the weekend, I was busy watching a number of different Counter-Strike events and stuff at the same weekend as well. League of Legends was on, so I was busy watching all this business. But I caught the a bit of the finals, and I caught that game with the draw, like you say, and all that business, and that was like, it was so tense. I was really enjoying watching it, which is a big thing. I've not really enjoyed watching competitive COD too much over the past year. I don't feel like this game specifically, World War II, is as good as a viewing game as previous iterations of Call of Duty, but to this extent, I really enjoyed watching it, and I believe that finally Europe, as we thought Splice were back in Infinite Warfare, we have a champion. We have someone who can carry the flag for Europe now on the international scale and compete with the best teams. And and compete with the Optics, with the LGs, with the Rises, with the EUs, if you count them there, of the world at the moment. And I'm quite happy with that. And I do agree that they have shown a very consistent line of improvement. Their arc of improvement is only going to continue, I feel. So I tend to agree with that sentiment.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a general consensus now. Red reserve.
Red for chance.
Favourites
Place your bets now. Outside odds.
I'm going to stick £10 on now that I've got that info from.
That's some good profit.
But regardless, so Red reserve favourites to win. Rise, I think, definitely second. I guess another question to be asked again from your guys' point of view, Optic and Luminosity, so their changes on a grander scale, Optic Gaming, switching players all around, grabbing Octane from LG, grabbing Methods. Guys, do you think Luminosity's showing? Do you think that was a one trick pony, as it were, or do you think they're going to continue to do that?
I think Formal's a freak. As in, he's really good. So as he keeps improving, then LG will improve. It's all just based on Formal, in my opinion. I think LG will get better and better and better. Optic have no excuse to lose. I think it was a round 11 against Unilad. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think it was a round 11, and then they had man advantage.
4v3 it was.
Unilad came out.
Yeah. Your Optic Gaming, you should have no right to lose that round. So
Crimsix stayed on the bomb, if I remember correctly, which is not a good idea.
That situation just sums up this Optic team. That's it.
I don't like that Optic team at all. Like the Luminosity team, it kind of stayed the same. They switched up a really good AR with a really good AR. But Optic needs an aggressive sub or something to play with Scum, because I feel like he's just playing alone with his sub.
Yeah, he's making quite dangerous plays. I'm not going to lie. I think one of the general consensus is on the COD competitive Reddit, which is not a trusted source, but one of the general consensus is that Scum makes a lot of plays which are very much akin to what you'd see in the Youth League, very much solo plays, trying to play the hero, and that it could potentially cause mistakes.
I don't feel like this current Optic team has legs in it, honestly. I don't think it's going to go the distance that they wanted it to. I don't think it's going to have the same sort of impact that the previous roster had with Formal and Karma. I just don't think it's got it. I think Methods obviously wasn't the first choice, and as a result, they've got 3 ARs, and as a result, it's 3 jarring styles. I think Crim trying to play SMG is not going to work. He wants to play hybrid. Same with Methods, is going to want to play an assault rifle. So you're going to bounce. I reckon what they'll do is they'll bounce around roles for a while. They'll change who's going to be the AR, who's going to be the hybrid, and whatever, and everyone will just get pissed off at each other, and eventually the team will collapse. And then we'll be in another situation like this again, where Optic having to make the roster change, the whole scene goes mad, and then it's kind of underwhelming that we lose only 2 players from 2 top teams, and they all turn out better than Optic again. I feel like we're going to get stuck in the same ghost cycle that we had with Optic. I feel like this could be the end of the Optic dynasty for a while. Well,
I think it's been dead for a while now. I think since the start of World War II, they couldn't carry through their champs performance. Champs curse strikes again, and they haven't really been on that same performance level since. I don't think a roster change was ever going to save that, especially a somewhat negative one from a point of view. Dropping Karma, one of the best playmakers in the game. To be honest, you drop in the guy who has the IQ. For Methods. He is a good player, nonetheless. I just don't think they're the same kind of player.
And even Methods knows he wasn't first choice, which to me is just like, what are you doing there then? Like, you're clearly, you know that you're not first choice, so why do you have the motivation to grind? To be fair to him, he's making the best of his time on Optic, isn't he? Making all these YouTube stuff and streaming and all the business, so he's making the best of the juice, but I just don't feel like this Optic team's got legs in it. I really don't. I feel like they'll improve steadily for a while, and I think towards champs they'll have a really disappointing placement again. We'll get Optic 7th again, something like that.
I think if they went with Zuma, like the rumors said, that would have worked, because then Scump had someone to play fast with, aggressive with. That obviously fell through, so.
Yeah, it would have helped FaZe as well. I guess it would have helped Zuma, because Zuma hasn't really helped himself. I think they were really running off that stage 1 win, and that was it. Really.
FaZe needs a change as well.
Yeah, they needed a change desperately, and I think, to be honest, Zuma would have helped himself a lot there, or maybe even helping FaZe. I
feel like FaZe needs a different AR. Honestly, as much as I love
Clayster, but the return of Clayster, maybe get himself off that dreadfully United roster.
Save that man. Save Arcetes and save Clay from that roster. I feel like they were what was it? 3 rounds away from being 7-0 in the Division B. And then they just flop at this event, the 2 round 11s or something like that they lose in group play and then get put in losers. Like they just they don't have the killer instinct. They don't have the going for they can't close out. And I just think it's going to hurt them eventually. I don't know what you feel about that, Brody. I'm sure you have some choice words for Clay still.
I've never had a big stock in the United. I think I've made that very clear. I don't rate them. That's why I never bet for their wins and always win those bets.
I've made some nice returns off of them beating Rise and Optic. Like, don't get me wrong.
But regardless, I do think that a change in that team could really improve them. But they've already made one change, I think, bringing in Fellow. So, I mean, what more can you really do? I mean, essentially at that point, the roster is just not good for themselves, and we'll probably have to wait till the end of Black Ops 4 to do anything about, not the end of Black Ops 4, the end of World War II. That'll be a long wait. That would be a long wait. But yeah, I think waiting for Black Ops 4 is the right way to go if you are a United. But moving on, so we're going to talk about the other teams now. I guess the other highlight point would be to make about Unilad. So we talked about them very briefly, their performance against Optic Gaming. And it does tie into that EU team performance that we were talking about, the fact that European teams have improved somewhat besides Epsilon. So Unilad, what are they doing right? What's the change? Because in my opinion, I think it's Alex. I think Alex is to get somewhere. He's a god.
I think each one of them players are ridiculously good. I don't know how Zed's not been on a GPL team since season 1. That guy's nutty on the sticks. Brad, I don't know how Brad's not considered like top 10 AR in the scene. And Shawnee is Shawnee. He's just brought his jetpacking ways to the boots on the ground. He's just managed to
carry it through.
Yeah, that team is really, really good. I really like that team.
I think they have really good chemistry as well because they've been friends for a while now, and they've brought pretty much all team together in the past, I think. So except for Wiskins and maybe, but
yeah.
I feel like what's catapult with them is Alex is a playmaker.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's the scump kind of. He's scump doing it right.
Yeah, scump making scud plays. Yeah, he's not scared at all, is he?
That guy's got some massive balls. He is challenging, getting 2 pieces. He doesn't miss. I don't know what kind of fucking pills they gave him, but bloody hell.
I mean, now gaming addictions. Now gaming addictions now a mental illness. We can just claim Adderall all the time from all of our doctors. So
that's a question, actually, just real quick on that. Do you guys believe in the Adderall conspiracy?
I've studied it on my course. If taken correctly, it's absolutely absurd how there's no drug testing.
I have no doubt that actually the Adderall has an effect. Oh, hang on, my phone's gone off. Excuse me. I have no doubt that the Adderall has an effect, but I would suggest asking whether or not the teams are actually taking it, because
everyone's on.
Yeah, Rated has obviously stated that
I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes.
We had the gif of John with his pupils as
like all black, yeah,
completely black. So I just wanted to know your guys' experience with Adderall at the event. Obviously, I
what you think they're on it, do you?
But you know, again, you just stated you feel that their teams do take it, and whether or not you think drug tests should be a thing in Call of Duty esports.
I can first say that I don't take any of that stuff. Just straight things. But
just get that out of the way.
Adderall won't help your average Joe of a player who doesn't have great game knowledge or great awareness. It won't turn him into a scump, right? You give someone like Slasher, who doesn't miss anyway. You give him Adderall and you help him focus up, and his brain is so much more faster than yours. Then yes, it's absolutely absurd how there isn't any drugs testing in esports. I've seen players with my own eyes take it and openly discuss it in toilets, in groups. I can't speak for the Euros. Apparently the Europeans don't take it, besides one player who I'm not going to name. But the Americans are... Every single American you'll ever meet is wired up on something. Amateurs, the parents, the players.
Parents
are on it. They're all wired. They're all completely nuts.
They're all cracked out.
Oh, this is a funny story. I'm going to say something real quick.
Well,
I was using the urinals at Atlanta, right? As you do. Minding your own business. So some fellow walks up to me. He goes, "Mate, have you got any Adderall pills?" I swing around with my massive cock and I'm like, what? Yeah? And this guy was looking down there, his eyes down below, looking at me, like, have you got any Addy? I'm like, mate, eyes up here. I don't have any fucking Addy.
Bruh, that's mad. That's intel.
Why
That's
have
mad.
we been so behind Europe? This is why we've been so behind America for all
Yeah,
these
I mean,
years,
this is-
because
that
they're
was
all
exactly what I was
cracked out on
gonna say.
Addy.
Yeah, like if Europeans don't take it, and theoretically, if the Americans didn't take it, would Europeans actually be, like at that highest level?
Yeah, in
if not
before
ahead?
before drug testing comes in, Americans can't take
Oh, it
Adderall,
definitely
and then
should.
Europe just takes over.
Oh, it should.
Rated would be the best player in the world if drug testing
Oh,
was.
I think he's already one of the best players in the game anyway. His AR is elite level.
That's what I mean. It's elite as it is. Now you bring the Americans down a notch, and that's it. He's taking over the game.
Yeah. Hopefully they are I guess, brought in, but I don't think they will be. I don't think MLG gives a shit, to be honest, as long as the Americans are ahead.
There's drug testing in League, CS, and the Overwatch League, apparently.
Yeah, I guess. Well,
So-
actually, if it's in the Overwatch
not
League,
in CS, I'm pretty sure.
There is for
I
some
think
events. There
ESL,
is for some
ESL
events.
do it, right?
ESL and
Yeah.
DreamHack do drug testing. E-League
Yeah.
did it at there's drug testing at the majors as well. There's not drug testing at like random events like Star Ladder because all the Ruskies are just mad coked up at that event. So all the Ukrainians just going up on their Adderall, flicking heads all the time. That's what's going on there. But at ESL events and DreamHack events and majors, I definitely know there is drug testing. And I'm going to the major in September, so I'll be able to tell you who's on Addy or not. Good times.
Yeah, we'll be able to tell in. Actually, I can't say one, but we'll be able to tell who's on Addy. I can't say that.
Wait, you know.
Well, yeah. Well, we don't know which teams will be on Addy. But regardless, yeah. So drug tests, 100%. Should be introduced, and actually, I think that's a good point as a whole thing. You know, would the Americans not be as good as the Europeans, or at least would there be an equal footing if Adderall wasn't taken? I'm interested to see actually how long Adderall has been a thing. For some
Finally,
teams.
get everyone to admit to it.
Because if
You'll never know.
you were to prevent
You'll never
it,
know.
if you were to do drug tests, you'd find out pretty quickly. I don't know if anyone would be stupid enough to try it and get caught, but I'm not sure how long it's been a thing where all the Americans are taking it.
It's not just the Americans, man.
No, I presume that there'd be other
No,
players
well,
in
Rated,
Europe.
Rated told me that they only stopped taking it this game because you don't need it on this game because it's not that fast paced as last games. But like, trust me, all the European teams were on it on Jetpack games. It's the first time like last year before I went to an MLG event, I was like, yeah, no one's really on Nadi or anything. But like when you go there, you can literally tell everyone's on it. Everyone, even amateur teams, man.
Oh, I saw it at Birmingham. I saw amateur teams like with their tongues flying out everywhere and all this all the time. I couldn't believe it. It's real. It's real.
Yeah.
I thought it was all a hoax.
Not even a taboo anymore. Everyone's talking about it as well. It's...
They're so open about it at events. They talk. It's like I don't know. It's like you get like a grand exchange discussing costs of Addy. Little kids, it's weird.
It's like the Addy
Weird.
stock
Jeez.
exchange going on.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
That's mad.
That
Nice to know
is-
the experience at Anaheim is fun.
Yeah.
Mm.
Who'd have thought California's
mad.
got drugs in it? Who'd have thought?
Who knew? America. Drug problems. No,
This is America.
Talking about. Oh God.
Come on, Em, move us somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, that would be it for the MLG Anaheim recap, as it were. So, George, I don't know if you want to ask anything. If not, we can start looking at questions from the chat. So, if anybody
okay.
right now,
Questions from the chat. We have got a little bit of a delay
If you
on.
guys have
so-
any questions in the chat, please do let us know. If you guys want to ask Denzer and Drill anything, they should be able to answer most things, unless it's about the real story. We don't want to talk about anything that goes on in it.
Nothing about Drill's bathroom time.
Yeah, nothing about that. But regardless, if you guys want to ask questions in the chat, feel free to do so. We can answer them for you. But for now, George, if you want to ask anything, and we can actually have a look up the chat to see, I believe.
Who wants you?
That is my girl.
Right, of course.
I did tell her.
Of
But
course she
regardless,
does.
I believe Big Roy, of all people, did ask a question
Did he?
all the way back. So he said, can we ask Denza and Daryl about the Pro Point system? Do you like it?
Okay.
Dennis, you want to go first?
Well, you obviously need something to make a list of like seeding and stuff. So we need a pro point system, but the way it works, I don't know, man. Last year was really bad. That's actually how I lost out on my pro league spot, because we beat a team. Well, Fnatic, we beat Fnatic in the 2Ks on LAN. and they still have more points than us because Scraps was playing 40 GBs a day. And back then it was bad, but now we've got a limit of 5. So I guess it's better, but like...
I mean, that's the first positive point I've heard about Pro Points. Whenever we've asked anybody, I think that's actually the first positive thing we've heard about the Pro Points system. So that's progress, at least. Drew?
I'm going to keep it real. You need a system. You need something to organise seedings and organise teams. The way I think Black Ops 3 did it was ideal. You get points from 2Ks, you get points from LAN.
Yeah.
However, you have a lot of people complaining about not doing their PPs or not having time to do their PPs. This is rather like controversial. I think if you're not doing your PPs, if you're not doing your 5 every day, then you're not determined or disciplined enough, and you shouldn't, in my opinion, get a high seed or an easier bracket or the opportunity to then have an easier run at becoming pro or whatever. I think sacrifices should be made, and playing 5 PPs every day is not unreasonable. It's not 40. You don't know what unreasonable is until you've played 40 a day. And people are still complaining. Yes, people work, people have school, but sometimes sacrifices need to be made. Sometimes you should try and fit it in. I was doing university while playing 40 a day. It can be done. You have to prioritize. You have to structure your day. People aren't willing to do that. People put COD on the last priority and then trying to complain that they're not pro because of the system. I think, yes, the system can be improved. I think the national leagues are an absolute joke. And I think points should be given out for LANs and 2Ks. But it also comes down to the individual player and how bad they want it.
A topic which has been discussed recently, at least with people I've been speaking to, is should there be a pro point reset, like at some point through the year?
Yeah, this is something we've talked about heavily.
Is this something that you guys think would be worthwhile in a sense? Like halfway through the year we get a reset after a big tournament or something like that? Or does it all just lead up to champs?
I think this is just...
there's no way we should have a reset. No.
I disagree. I don't want someone not playing for 6 months, coming back, teaming with his friends, and somehow getting to champs. That would be absolutely. That would be.
You have to work all year.
To be fair, 6 months is a very long time. Just to sort of counterpoint that. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, some teams, I guess, could if they really tried hard enough, but. 6 months is a long time to be fair, so I'm not sure that sort of situation would come into play, but I do see the point that teams who shouldn't be at champs might get the point.
Yeah, if you've been working hard all year, I think you should be rewarded for have the better chance to be rewarded, not if you've been lazy and not disciplined, and then somehow you get the same opportunities.
I guess another suggestion would be some kind of point decay system, like they have. I can't remember. It's CS. I'm sure they have it in CS. With point decay system, or it might be HLTV or something like that.
HLTV have a decay system.
The ranking decay system. I don't know if a decay system would work in some way where if you earn points from 12 months ago, those points are only worth 50% of what they were 7-8 months.
Like that works for CS because you think about it like
it's just one game.
Versus Pro in the finals of a major, the start of last year. Now they're outside the top 30 in HLTV ranking. So like,
it happens in CS all the time. Like you have a different winner every tournament. Like now, like FaZe and Astralis are winning all of it. But like, there's so many different teams winning.
There's no consistency with who's at the top, at least.
Yeah. And so I guess the question to be asked would be like, how would you guys improve the system then? I mean, if there are problems with the system, what would you guys do to fix it? Would you guys return to a Black Ops 3-esque system with different regional leagues and then champs having to qualify for it? Or separately in its own qualifier, or like regional championships? How would you guys actually deal with the system or current problems?
Black Ops 3 2Ks points, Black Ops 3 regional leagues, and then the top 4 going to a global pro league. And that's the way it should be done. Points from 2Ks and LANs.
Okay. Like last year as well, we should have done an EU event like in December, like Gfinity last year, to like change the standings a bit and stuff. But to be honest, Activision just needs to throw more money at it. Like, we're not getting enough LANs in my opinion. CS is having LANs every week or some shit. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
they need to give a shit, in my opinion.
Need more money. Yeah, we need more money.
Need to give a shit about everything outside of America, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like, America gets everything. I think America's perfectly fine. You get 5 majors a year if you're American, which is way less costly than if you're a European who has to fly to those events to stay relevant. It's a
To
massive
stay up
problem.
on PPs for champs.
I think a perfect blend of 2016 CWL and 2017 CWL, it would be absolutely awesome, right? You have to think there's not a single APAC major anymore. They rely on Cybergamer for their pro leagues, which isn't even a pro league. They rely on the national leagues, which is 1,000. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, to be as straight as possible.
National leagues are garbage, by the way.
Yeah, to be straight as possible, the amateur leagues give out more prize pool money for their leagues than the national leagues do. Like it's ridiculous, and that's not a slight on the amateur leagues at all. It's more of a slight on the national leagues, if anything.
These are the national leagues, what's basically effectively the second tier of Call of Duty in each one of these respective regions, each one of these respective countries, even, and they're being outdone by independent, self-run companies who are just running it for under 18s. Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's almost not worth playing if it's not the pro points.
Yeah.
If not for the pro points, it's not worth playing.
Yeah. You don't even earn pro points from it, do you?
Yeah, you do.
You do earn pro points from it. Okay, that's just a bit weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Because like Rude and Stace managed to bank a load of pro points off of winning German national circuit season 1.
It's a mockery. You've got the national leagues, the regions involved are absolutely stupid. You've got the Italian league. I can't name a single fucking good Italian team. No offense to that region. And they have.
There were 3 seasons, and they haven't still attended an event of it.
That's my point. So the Italian teams get pickups. The Italian teams make the start team with underage kids, win the leagues, and don't use the funding to go to an event. That's a straight mockery for everyone else who's won their league or who's come second in like in a round 11 game 5. You've got like the second, third, fourth, fifth place team in the UK league better than the entire Italian league, better than the entire German league, and then UK teams are struggling to get funding. While the Italians, who have got full funding, who are going to be put up in the Hilton Hotel, premium economy or whatever, not going to an event for 3 seasons, and it's an absolute joke, in my opinion. The Italian, the whole region is an absolute joke.
Yeah. I think there are solutions to it, though. I think, I think one of the big problems was the fact that 2 of those players they can be just European. They don't have to be Italian or French or whatever. I think changing that to free, players have to be from that country would fix it. I think we've discussed that potential solution before on the podcast, and potentially if teams refuse to accept that trip to the major, it should be given to someone else. Obviously, Activision, I want to save money, so they don't really give a shit. But I think that would be definitely the closest solution to perfection we could get.
I just think putting the national leagues themselves are not a bad idea to cultivate second tier talent. But I don't think that they need something more given to them. They're being run by an individual caster from their bedroom at every single given point here. Remember back in BO3 when we had studios at the very least running European leagues and etc.
That was an ESL round.
And ESL had the money to throw at it, or at least they were willing to throw the money at it until they realised that it wasn't a profitable business model and sold it back to MLG.
It was the fact it was the complaints. It wasn't ESL dropped. ESL didn't drop it. It was the fact that Activision didn't like what ESL were doing with
ESL
the production, the decisions they were making, and decided to threat back to MLG. And obviously, when ESL had control, they wouldn't essentially let MLG do events. MLG had 2 that year, and they were towards the back end of the year. So
I still think we should have a free market for events. We should be allowed to just have a random Gfinity event over the course of the year. I don't think everything has to be CWL sanctioned. I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh no, I think CWL sanctioning is not a bad idea. I think that CWL
but not everything.
just
For an event
events,
to be good, it doesn't have to be CWL sanctioned.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that at the moment that there is a big problem with the fact that CWL have a stamp on every single little thing that goes on, from all the way down to the online leagues. They have stamps on what.
Yeah, you have to ask CWL now if you can run a league.
It is very ridiculous, and there are solutions on the way to those problems, but. At the very least, I think the CWL taking a step back and just, or at least sanctioning everything and just saying, is it going to work? Are you going to have a level of professionalism? Yes, fine, just make it league.
Yeah, I don't think you even need that. I feel like if we ran Call of Duty like the way it was before, maybe you can have a centralized league, cool. But I think having other events like allowing Gfinity or EGL to put on an event for Europeans or something like that, or even I'm not saying bring back UMG because maybe that's not a good idea, but I'm saying just have an event that for Americans, which is just like a UMG event, and just have it there, and you can just do it for money rather than having to go for pro points or whatever. There's just other things you can have, other events, and not everything has to have that CWL sanctioning on it to say, hey, this is an actual event worth attending kind of thing.
It's absolutely funny because they're a multi-billion-dollar company, but it feels like it's run by 4-year-olds. It feels like everyone in this community has a solution, but the people at the top can't see it.
Yeah.
It feels like we all can give them good solutions. We can give them a good idea how to run the leagues, the games, stuff like that. But it feels like there's a 3-year-old running it. It feels like they have no idea.
Just blah, 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 like that the whole time.
I'm pretty sure there was a time where the Pro League was on, but not a single tweet was tweeted out of the official Call of Duty esports account.
It was the Black Ops 4 reveal that was so bad. They revealed Black Ops 4, 200,000 viewers, and they didn't decide to keep the stream on. They decided to restart the stream half an hour later for the Pro League. That was ridiculous.
They could have had a crap load of viewers seeing Call of Duty compared to Call of Duty for the first time.
100%.
No.
It was an awful idea.
Straight back down to 10,000 viewers.
Yeah, I just think it's trash. I just think that a lot of the problem is at the top at the moment. And this franchising that's potentially coming, although we said we might avoid the topic, is going to potentially make it worse, which is it's just not good. The fact that we mentioned it earlier on rather colloquially, in that these lower level teams are not getting the practice. It's just going to be worsened by franchising if it comes in.
Franchising's going to kill COD.
It will.
Well, I mean, if it's not already dead by the time. I mean, I love COD and I don't want it to die, but if it's not already dead by Activision's actions,
I said before the broadcast started, I said that with League of Legends and Overwatch League and stuff like that, you pay the buy-in fee as an organisation to get into these franchise leagues, and eventually you do get a guaranteed return on investment. It's safe, you're contracted into the league, and if you don't get your return on investment, then the league have to pay it anyway. But for Call of Duty, and that's why organizations, for example, like you see, there's so many organizations who are involved in like the LCS and stuff, and so many teams who are like funded by big sports organizations, like the different American football teams or basketball teams, who won't get into Counter-Strike, but they'll happily get into Overwatch and they'll happily get into League of Legends, because getting into Counter-Strike is a risky business decision because it's a free market. Getting into League of Legends and Overwatch, though, guaranteed return on investment. So if they make Call of Duty franchise, we'll get more money into it, but it will just kill COD anyway because there won't be any under scene or whatever. You'll just have the front-facing top scene, and that'll be all that you'll ever see.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like Contenders is awful in Overwatch, isn't it? Really,
yeah, it's garbage.
They have no exposure to that whatsoever.
League of Legends
the money
Academy,
they put into
garbage.
That is absolutely trash. Franchising is great if you're the NFL. Because even then, college football is still there to help out. But if you're Call of Duty, you're an esport that's already struggling. Putting a massive weight like franchising on top is just going to kill it. It's literally you like putting a brick on an ant. It's not going to work at all. So I don't know. Franchising not the best way to go if you are Call of Duty.
I mean, even with franchising, the players and the orgs don't really help the growth of COD. We have top players. We have players with a lot of fan base, like with a large following and a large fan base. They're not streaming, they're not making content. Yes, the game's not the best it can be or in a position to do so, but we still need more streamers. We need more orgs creating content. Like your CTX, for example, they created a really brilliant advertisement for one of their sponsors with the Looty and Copley in a pool. Like, we need more orgs doing that. We need more orgs creating videos. We need more orgs copying the PC orgs. The PC orgs have their players fulfill media obligations. I don't see many COD orgs
part of their
do that.
contract, yeah.
Precisely. I don't see many COD orgs do that. Maybe the only a few orgs I've seen are like Heretics. Heretics make their team do like streams and YouTube videos. Actually, the whole of Spain do that. And that's a different topic. Why Spain is so far superior to the UK. But a lot of orgs need to start doing that. A lot of orgs need to start streaming. Yeah. We can't complain about COD being dead and then not do anything to help it.
It is players. I think there is efforts from all around. I think to revive COD, maybe not everyone, but there are definitely angles at which the youth leagues or the amateur leagues. Don't want to use the bad word, but the amateur leagues try as much as they might to get viewership in, and that's not. It's still an attempt at least, but I think players is the problem.
Improving.
I think it's the discussion we had with Repeat actually from Unite Gaming. So he's the CEO of Unite, and he said that. And him and Dido suggested that it is players who just don't want to stream. They're getting salaried, so why would they?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not in their salary. As long as it should be in their contract. If I'm honest, I think you should be contractually obligated. If you're getting £2,000 a month off the back of your esports, you should be made to stream. You need to be putting in this amount of hours, and that would solve the problem. To be honest, maybe not completely. Maybe people just don't want to watch Call of Duty at this point, but I think it's definitely damaged it heavily.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I know for a fact that in Counter-Strike, that some players, I mean, there's some players on teams that aren't contractually obliged to stream. But for example, I know for a fact that when there's downtime, when players aren't traveling, there's clauses in their contract that state they must be streaming at least 30 hours in a month or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, like just with the team overlay on or something like that, advertising sponsors, just at least bringing some recognition to the brand, because otherwise all you're getting out of it is just them at an event. And it's just you're not getting anything out of that. And I think it needs to start at the top, really. I mean, we do as much as we can in the Revive COD hashtag and all that, but jazz. And I just don't think that people love the idea. It's great as an idea, but it's terribly put in practice, is what I'd say.
I think everyone needs to follow how the Spanish are doing it. Your Team Heretics, your Giants, they force their players to stream. They force them to do their media obligations, to make YouTube videos, to do pics. You've got Heretics. Heretics is sponsored by a beer company. They've got a KFC sponsorship. You've got Giants. Giants are sponsored by Vodafone, Hugo Boss. Movistar Riders are an internet company. So they're doing the media obligations and the videos for their sponsors, and they're bringing in a lot of viewers for their own personal Twitch. Like the LVP, when Giants and Heretics are playing, the LVP got like 30,000 viewers. No help from the Call of Duty account. This is off their own back.
But that's more than a GPL.
Yeah, and I feel
the LVP is really good.
Yeah, I feel like how the LVP are doing it, sponsored by Orange. I feel how all the orgs in the Spanish scene are doing it. The schedules, they treat it like an actual job. They wake up, go to the gym, stream, scrim, sleep. I think the rest of Europe needs to do that. I think the rest of the world needs to do that. I think we need to follow what the Spanish are doing, and I think that's one of the steps we can take to COD.
There's always been one region, actually, which has always been that way. They've always been very good in terms of their discipline, in terms of getting the streams on, treating it like a real job, and it's the Asian region, more specifically South Korea. South Korea, like, esports down there they live, eat, and breathe this shit. Like Faker, for example, in League of Legends, the best mid laner in the world. Gets up, they all live in a team house. There's no problems with all living in a team house. They all just get on with it, they grind it away and whatever, and then they just play, and they get on, they play, they have their coaches, they have their strategy, and they all just go through it all day. They wake up 9 till 5, after 5 you go out, get some food, do what you want for the rest of the evening, and you're done. And the thing is, what works with that is that everyone in the region operates the same way. So you're guaranteed to get practice between 9 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's not like you're going to have to wait till 1 o'clock in the morning for some team to get on so you can scrim them. It's not like that. So I do agree. The rest of the world needs to follow suit to Spain and the Asian regions, because they've got it sorted. And that's why they're head and shoulders above.
Not necessarily in Call of Duty, at least. I think Call of Duty Asia is despite the fact it is growing, it's there now. The Japanese Pro League, sponsored directly by PlayStation. MLG do not have control of that, and rightfully so. And I guess Malaysia as well, they're trying their hardest. So the Asian region in COD is starting to grow, at least. We could do with those teams starting to come forward. And those teams performed not awfully at Anaheim, but not well either.
It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time.
I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it if you had Rampage Gaming or Rush Gaming in the CWL Pro League. But unfortunately, there isn't enough spaces, and there's not enough coverage below it as well. So it's just not going to happen.
It's only a matter of time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They all showed straight. They just need to know how the game works and get the basics under their belt. Cause
they need headsets. The Japanese are hilarious. Two of them didn't have headsets.
Really? They didn't have headsets?
No, two of them didn't.
Tragedy.
Oh, geez, that's bad. Well, to be fair, if they didn't have headsets, the placement for not having headsets is pretty high, especially when you said it earlier, the difference in equipment level. As soon as you don't have that, it makes a major difference. So if you haven't got game sound...
I mean, you're losing out there, aren't you?
You're losing out, I think, more than anything. You don't have game sound. Regardless, though, I think that's where we're probably going to end it. We don't have any questions in chat, I believe. So again, if you guys want to have any final words on any
shout outs or anything as well?
Any shout outs you guys want to make, you can feel free to do so.
Shout out to you guys for letting me and Dens come on. I appreciate you letting us have an outlet to discuss things. And shout out to Brash for
definitely
the best dog I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, wonderful. Of course, you guys are welcome to come back on at any point. We always do welcome those guests back on. But again, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. That has been our recap of CWL Anaheim. We will be back next week for episode 12, I believe. We are off hiatus now, so George and I are back every week, every Wednesday for the podcast. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you.